The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV. Hot topics, food, fun, entertainment, and serious business. Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
So glad you joined us for another edition of Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. Is one of my very favorite all-time guests. You know, some of my guests I have on, it's like their first time and they're all nervous and everything. The North Las Vegas Mayor, John Lee, is such a veteran, such a pro at this. We really just get together. I think I just invite him on the show just so we can hang out, because he has a real full-time job. So I really appreciate it when he drives all the way in from North Las Vegas to the middle of town on Maryland Parkway in Sahara just to be on my show and catch us up to all of the crazy, great things that are happening in North Las Vegas. It's just, if someone would have told me, John, you know, let's say 6-7 years ago, that this remarkable turnaround, I have to give you a quote, something I overheard at a restaurant just recently. I think it was a restaurant. Quote, "I'm not moving to North Las Vegas. It's just too busy over there."
Oh,
Said,
that's the first time.
I had to write that down. I said, when I see John, I've got to, the mayor has got to hear that. It's like, isn't that great?
What a great testament.
Yes.
You know, 8 years ago, we were like two weeks away from bankruptcy,
right.
You know.
And the state taking over, and there was going to be
Yeah.
no more North Las Vegas. And then you had, I'm going to use the word, and I know some people are going to be mad at me, you had vultures from the county just circling around going, I can smell the decay. We're going to take over.
So we're just visiting with you on this. Yeah, they had taken North Las Vegas and figure out where they would split it. Half would go to the county, the other half would go to the city. Mm-hmm. But neither one of them wanted it because all the debt came with it.
Right.
So it's like, as bad as we want 50% of a town that has only built out all that real estate, we don't want their debt.
Right.
And so it gave me an opportunity and a time to be able to recognize that I could get some people to help me because they didn't need the debt. They
right.
wanted to make sure they didn't get it forced upon them. So that was our 6 years ago. That was the future of North Las Vegas. Just, can it just survive long enough that the debt doesn't overcome all of us? And we became the Stockton, San Vallejo, San Bernardino County, Detroit, you know, we became in that list. Now, we're the only ones out of it like we are. The rest of those guys are still fighting, you know.
Right.
We did great things. And I will tell you this, Rikki, since you give me a second here, yes, I think
they actually have like 45, 50.
I think being the mayor and being a visionary is one thing. I get to work at the 30,000-foot level. But when we hire directors and people, I don't know if we pay them $10 or $100 a day. I don't know what we pay them. But I tell them, the city isn't paying you for me to tell you what to do. It's paying you to tell me what I can do to make my job better for the residents. So we have a great business staff there that are residents of our city, their mothers, fathers, or just like everybody else, but they have a vested interest in the success of North Las Vegas, and we empower them with that. So I don't make all the decisions, but I will say 60% of the time I'm 100% right. But that last 40%, people look at me and go, how could you even think that?
Well, that's before we get to all the really, really cool, good stuff, also want to get out of the way. When you talk about commitment to North Las Vegas, you were thinking about running for a Reuben Kuhn seat in District 4, House of Representatives, and then you decided not to for what I think is a very noble reason. What is that?
Well, first off, no one realized that Reuben was going to have a problem, and to this day, I don't really know what happened.
Right. You haven't really seen a lot of coverage on it.
No, so I kind of had worked with Reuben in the legislature, he's a nice person, you know, and then this seat opened up. Now, one of the great flaws I've seen in Congress is when somebody gets elected, they go to Washington, they forget where they live. We have, on the 5th floor of our building, we have the congressional office. I'm on the 9th floor. Never once has a congressman, even in my worst days, and even when I'm trying to get water to Apex, and everything I'm doing, and we're doing in the city, never once did they ever come upstairs and go, you know, Congress is a mess. I got a lot of time to work on things. How can I help you? What can I do to help you, Mayor, in our community? You know, they don't do that. They just forget where they come from. I'm very upset at the congressional people that we sometimes elect out of our Southern Nevada area. And so I had looked and thought about maybe running for Congress, but then the obligations that I had put upon myself and the commitments I'd made to other business leaders and people who were coming, it resonated with me that you just can't jump because it makes you feel good. You get a bigger title, but really, what are you going to leave behind that no one can fix after you're gone? So I'm glad to be the mayor. Today, I'm glad to be the mayor.
Does that mean you're going to run for a third term?
No, I'm not saying that. I work 12 hours a day, you know.
People forget you have like 2 real jobs. You're
No, I sold my company.
Oh, you sold your company.
Yeah, I do this full time.
Okay.
So
you have time.
I know, Rikki, but I have 26 and a half grandkids. I have 7 children. I have a wonderful wife, and I have dreams too. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and it's nice to see them now, to have the space to actually, because I don't think people really realize how much time elected offices take.
Yeah.
You know, because once you're elected, now you have the job to do. But then also the thing that's not really ever talked about is campaign funding. So now you've been elected. First you had to go out there and you had to beat the drums to get the money to get elected.
Yep.
And now once you're in office, you already have to start thinking about how, if you want to, how am I going to get reelected and how do I go after that money? And I've often wondered how much time in an average, I'm not sure if there is such a thing as an average, but how much time the average politician spends just on raising funds, going to fundraisers, meeting privately with donors and talking this up. And, let's call it what it is, making deals to get that support.
Well, when I was in the legislature, there's 30 days before an election, or after you've been elected and you were elected, you couldn't accept any money. And 30 days after the session, you couldn't. So before session, after session, you couldn't get any money. And then after that, it becomes, well, in the next calendar year. So you're not always raising money by any means. And there's really 3 races, Rikki, when you're going to get into politics. One is the opinion leaders, the Rikki Cheeses of the world, the people who have opinions about where they want their town to go, and you study the issues. That would be you. Then you go to the donors, the lobbyists and those people. So I was in construction. I would go maybe to some construction companies or different people who'd know that my values were like theirs. And so you're out there raising funds, and then finally you get to the voter. But if you go to the voter first and forget the other 2, you're not going to win. You have to do it in this sequence here. And so when you are elected, pretty much your resume is how you voted in the last 2 years or 4 years or whatever. So it really makes it easy for people to understand, do they want to support you or not. Now, if you've been just a bad person, you're probably not going to get much support because no one's going to want to put money down saying they gave you money if you're a bad person. So you probably have to be pretty balanced. You don't really start raising money until about 3 or 4 months before the election. But all the events that it takes to meet people, like this dinner and that dinner and Nevada Broadcaster Association you're in and all that kind of stuff, you do spend a lot of time meeting and visiting and listening to people. And it can overwhelm you. If you don't spend time with your wife and children, then what are you really doing in politics? I found out years ago, Rikki, there's one thing that's really important. You can't get fired from it. You can't get unelected from it. You can't release yourself from it. You can't quit from it. It's being a dad, being a husband. And the rest of that stuff, those other things happen to you, who cares? Just go be a good parent, be a good husband. Those are the important things. So as long as you have your value set, it's pretty easy.
You can bounce off the other stuff. Well, let's start talking about all the really great things in North Las Vegas. But before we get to that, this is something that one of the many things I love about my show is that I get a chance to find out about the people. Like we just found out before this show, we bonded after the last show. Well, we bond whenever we meet. That we're big dog lovers. And he knows I've got 2 massive beasts, 2 big Akitas, and you're into dogs too. But right before the show, we were talking about that and realized we both love chickens. We both had chickens when we were kids, and we're just into chickens. Like, what is this explosion of love for chickens?
I don't know. There's just so many unique brands of chickens out there that we didn't have when we grew up. You had Rhode Island Red and stuff like that. But so many different chickens, and I think people just want to get back. They want to garden. They want to get their hands in the earth. They want to have, the creatures around them. I think that it makes people feel good to look at animals. And so chickens, I remember my first chicken was a Rhode Island red named Queenie. I'm sure you remember the name of your chicken,
right,
you know?
Yeah. Duke.
But
I don't know
Duke.
why Duke. Yeah, right?
But they are calming influences. They're gifts from Father in heaven, I think, you know, to let us forget about all the other stuff we think is important, you know?
Yeah.
And we really spoil ourselves with those animals, and boy, do we take good care of them too, don't we?
I know. There's sometimes, and I remember when I first got my second Akita, and I discovered, because I'd already gone online, and I thought, you know, it's really healthy to cook for dogs, because my mother adopted my first Akita for me, and I bought her this big, huge bag of the most expensive, because I was getting ready to travel, dog food possible. When I came back off the road, the bag was still there. It was partially open, but not that much was gone. I was gone for like, you know, a couple months. It's like, Mama, how come you still have this food? She goes, oh, he doesn't like sandwiches anymore. I didn't know he was eating sandwiches. My mother was famous for her sandwiches, so he was turning his nose up at her sandwiches. I said, well, when did Tundra stop eating sandwiches? She goes, well, because now we go to KFC. Really? So come to find out, the woman was loading the dog up, and the one on Charleston and Decatur, that's the one that she was historic, right? That used to be across from what was a movie theater, like we still remember. And she was taking him through the drive-through in her SUV, and she was such a regular, she'd get a bucket, and then they would give her a bag of chicken for free. So she was rolling with all this chicken, and she would cut it up and put it in the refrigerator, and then she'd give him vegetables. He lived to be 14.
Well, you got a sweet mother.
Right, yeah. So you had the chickens. What else did you have as a kid?
Oh, we had a couple ducks and caught pigeons. Of course, when you have chickens, you end up getting pigeons, it seems like, you know.
Yeah.
So just a lot of the fun animals of life, guinea pigs. I think every parent should see that their children understand and love animals. You know, it just makes you treat things a little bit better, you know.
Yeah. And if you want to see, because this is when you really know he's a hometown kid, the RJ, was it the RJ did that great story on your childhood home in North Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And he really is a native son, and you to me are the epitome of anything you want to be, you can do, because you come from very humble, you know, beginnings, and you've built this great political career, and you've got this huge family, and I really think that you have the love of the people of North Las Vegas. You know, I've been a fan since I first met you, because I can feel the integrity coming from you, and I think that resonates. And how much of that do you attribute maybe to growing up in North Las Vegas at a different time?
Well, in North Las Vegas, there's only one class of people. It was poor. You know, we didn't have a lot of wealth. Fact is, I tell people, I knew Jewish people were out there. They just didn't live in North Las Vegas. Right. You know what I mean? There weren't very many African Americans. There weren't very many Hispanics at the time. It was just us, you know. And when somebody came to town, welcome. You know, we just didn't care, you know. But as I got older, I started realizing that I wanted to change the fortunes of my family, and I wanted my children to be able to go to college. It was never a thought that I would go to college. Right. So, of course, you and your brother have done well, you know, with your education. Right. So I was that generation that just go get a job as a lifeguard, or go get a job valet parker. You make good money, or construction, you know. Yeah. But the most wonderful people in the world lived in North Las Vegas. That's what I do, and they still do. They're just down to earth. When we see a dog run down the street, somebody lost their dog, you know, we don't really care. A kid riding his bike by. But you know, go up to Summerlin, people see a kid riding his bike. Oh my gosh, he could get stolen. Where's his mother? Oh, there's a dog. He must have rabies. We got to catch him or tell the police. No, that's life. You know, North Las Vegas is just what life is. You know, it's good. It's simple. And we love it.
I think the most time I spent in North Las Vegas as an adult was when I was covering the Sloan Channel story, which I loved on so many different levels, because I didn't know until that story came up. And I was there I think the meeting when Anita stood up there, and she just went there about, you know, all the deals that have fallen through. And I just remember seeing the background going, I didn't know all this stuff was happening. So I had Sean at the time. I put him in the car because I can't help it. I'm a reporter. If I find out something's going on, I will physically go before I even start making a lot of phone calls. Let me see. So I went down there, ended up making the best friends up and down the Sloan Channel. We were down there so much, and people would welcome us, and once they got to know me and they knew Sean was going to show up on a Saturday, they'd have dog treats. I mean, it was like a party, me covering that story. It was so much fun. People's hearts, and people were passionate about it, but they were civil. I didn't run into a single person who cussed or shouted or whatever, not once.
No, we respect everybody.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing that happened in this town is garage door openers. You know, people go open their garage door, drive in, shut the door, and then you never see them. You don't know who your neighbor is. You have no idea what kind of wonderful relationship you could have with that person, because they have ex-kids, ex-wives, ex-this. They don't want a neighbor now, you know. I lived up in Red Rock. I built a home up in Red Rock Country Club on Red Arrow. I paid more for that lot and that home than the highest price house in North Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, honey, I've taken care of you. I've proven to you I'm a good provider, and now you're safe up here. Something happens to me. After 8 months, we got so sick of living up there, we moved back to North Las Vegas. And then, like I say, it's just people. You go to the store, it's just people, you know. Yeah. I don't mind it. I like people.
I made a conscious decision, two things: not to live in an HOA. Because that's the second thing after the garage door opener that keeps people, I think, from really talking to each other on some level. But then the second thing, I wanted to live in an older neighborhood that had horses. I mean, now I'm all built out, but at that time they still had like open land and people had horses. And the guy down the street from me was raising goats, and he had like 24 goats when I bought my house. And over the years, the goats were disappearing. Well, when the chimps escaped, when Buddy and CJ escaped, that's when I found out what had happened. Because we had been walking by that house for years, Mashawn and I, and we thought that was an aviary. We didn't know that there were two chimpanzees back there the size of small gorillas. So in a conversation with the guy who lived across the street, I said, well, what happened to the guy's goats? He goes, well, he ate them all. I said, really? Because I live, Ann Road is the line of demarcation between the city and the county. Well, back then the county still let you have whatever you wanted, and this guy was basically raising his food.
Huh.
I said, I wish I'd known that. I'd have gone down the street and said, dude, I'll pay you for some of that goat meat. This is fantastic. I just didn't know. And when you tell new people that, it's like, but that's the Las Vegas and North Las Vegas that we grew up with, where, you know, people still talk to each other, and you know your neighbors, and you kind of had an idea, and nobody was trying to hide from anybody. You know?
No, people didn't show off wealth. There was nothing to be showing off anyway, you know. Yeah. We just liked everybody, you know, good people. You were a perfect person to live in North Las Vegas.
I know, right? Well, even now, I think I've been at 13 for a few years, and I covered a series of fires, and I realized that I was one of those people. I had become one of those people who, because nobody knew, like, the victims. Nobody knew the names of the people whose houses burned. I thought, how remarkable. And these weren't on really big lots, you know. These were like closed houses. Then I remember going home one day and going, I am one of those people. I wave at all my neighbors. We wave at each other, but what are their names? I actually put together a little care basket and started knocking on doors. And the funny thing was to see the expression on people's faces, because they had never seen anything like that. But I said, you know what, if something were to happen to you or something to happen to me, I would like to know your name. I would like to know, who should I call? You have a mother or a father, sister, brother, or whatever. Let's all say hi to each other. I mean, God forbid anything should happen, but just on a regular human level, don't you want to say hi, Danny, or hi, Linda, or hi, Janet, not just hi, you know, and then you scurry into your house. Good point. And you're right, and that's how North Las Vegas, even when you guys built Aliante still had that feeling. It wasn't sort of like, oh, you know, we think that we're all that because we're in Aliante.
No, but I will tell you, our town has segmented itself. I grew up below Cheyenne near the City Hall.
Right.
And then between Cheyenne and Craig Road, that happened. Then Craig Road to the 215. And so it's almost like Old Henderson of sorts now.
Sure.
You can grow in Old Henderson, but you can move in North Las Vegas of very, very nice houses now.
Right.
And people do migrate up. But I really mean this, and I don't want anybody to move to North Las Vegas because of this, but we have less traffic congestion.
Yes.
We have cleaner air. We have less stress. And I will tell you, our police officers are great.
Yes.
You know, they're not... They make a decision. When they roll up on a situation, they don't call a sergeant who calls a lieutenant who calls a chief. Our guys make those decisions. We're just regular people monitoring our community as a police department. We don't go out there and just shoot somebody because we're bored, or we don't.
Right.
We ask questions first. Now, I will say, if you got a bullet coming, it ain't gonna miss.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Bad people beware.
Right.
But good people understand. Our cops are good guys. Our firefighters and our people that live there. Being the mayor of North Las Vegas is wonderful. People there's this thing called a social contract. It says if you give us tax dollars, we will spend those dollars appropriately for you for your quality of life. So schools, libraries, senior centers, pools, all that kind of stuff. The people in North Las Vegas, they just want the same things everybody else
Right.
has, you know. They just don't want to be without it. Now, they might not use that pool. They might not use that school, you
Right.
know. But they just want to have those opportunities. So
Yes.
I one time figured out what's my job here, and I thought about it for a couple of days, and I realized my job is to offer comfort. Now, if you don't want some of the amenities I'm bringing into town, don't use them.
Right.
I don't give comfort. I offer comfort. Now, giving comfort is that police officer who comes up and goes around your house with a flashlight, making sure you're safe that night, or that firefighter who unrolls that hose and blasts water into your house. They give comfort, you know.
Exactly.
But we have the comforts, and we also give the comfort that you can rest pretty much assured in North Las Vegas that you're going to be well taken care of by your city.
Right. Let's talk about the projects that you have coming on. And you guys, you know, I will always admit when I am wrong. And that happens a lot of times, and sometimes I can't spell cat. One of the big stories that came out during the whole economic downturn, and I remember at the press conference when you said it, and I'm sitting there going, that is not going to happen. I was wrong. Apex.
Yeah.
Apex. Oh, who knew the water issue? First of all, we're going to talk about water in general, but you're getting water out to Apex, which is going to just be the game changer. Faraday was already the start, but now that's the big game changer.
Oh my gosh. We have about, I think it's a 30-inch pipeline that is capped right where Mannheim's auto auction is across the street from Speedway.
Yes.
32,500 acre-foot of water sitting there waiting that we're not using that could get up there, okay? And we finally put a deal together. A contractor came in and said, listen, I own a big piece of property up here about 8 miles away. I want to put in a pipeline. We said, that's great. We support it. But while you're putting in, instead of your 8-inch line, let us give you some money and put in our line too. So we took his 8-inch line and we moved up to 32, then to 24, you know. We figured out what our cost would be, what his cost would be if he did it without us. And the first 12 miles now is going to have water. So right at the top of the Apex, and Apex is where the 93 goes to Alamo or onto Utah on the 15.
Right.
We will be building the largest regional hub in southern United States in Apex, 18,000 acres. No longer will people have to just work at gaming, tourism, and hospitality. So, Rikki, just say we're married and you're over at Caesar's Palace, you're dealing cards. That's a good gig, right? I'm working at Treasure Island Engineering. That's another one. But next time an airplane hits a building, guess what? We both lose our jobs. In the future, Rikki, you stay at Caesar's Palace. You're getting great tips there, you know. I'll go out here and build something that's being sold in Canada and the United Kingdom or Germany or somewhere else, you know, Australia. And if we do have another little thing, guess what? We've got some stability in our family income. So I'm diversifying the incomes of the residents of North Las Vegas and the Valley at the same time. And there's going to be, the hotels don't see it coming. We are going to be driving up incomes in this valley because they're not going to stay working on the Strip when they can be out here making $4 or $5 more an hour.
Right.
It's going to make these hotel jobs go up in value too. So there's going to be a fight for manpower.
Right.
And
overall for North Las Vegas, for people moving to North Las Vegas, lower cost of living and the things that you mentioned earlier, not as much traffic. And I tell everybody, one of the things that I just always tickles me about North Las Vegas police officers, not that I've had that much interaction with them, I'm just saying, when they pull you over, they're so sweet and they smile when they write you that ticket. Because first of all, you know that you did wrong. If you get pulled over by North Las Vegas, that's all. But they're not there to be mean and jack you up. It's like, and ma'am, did you know that you were that's what was said. I'm not sure. I might not have been there. Ma'am, did you know that you were the 5th car to run the red light? Well, write that ticket, officer. What was I going to do? Write the man. And then he looked at me and he says, Rikki, you know better. This is an issue of public safety. I said, I do, and I'm embarrassed. If you're going to run the red light, don't you at least you should look in your rearview mirror. That's but what I've heard and what I've seen, you know, even covering stories, is your police department is spectacular, your fire department is spectacular, but I think that this all comes from solid leadership in North Las Vegas, where people feel comfortable and people feel, like you said, empowered to take control. I don't see a whole lot of back padding for projects that you guys do over there. It's like really quiet, like the Apex thing. All of a sudden, the Apex deal was done. I opened the paper and go, "Whoa, Nellie, this is amazing!" But it wasn't like you were saying, "And we're talking to this person." You made sure that the deal was signed before you said anything about it, so that everybody could feel confident that this was coming and not raise false hopes.
No, we're not interested in that. Let me flip back something cute though. So sometimes you do get pulled over by a police officer, and I tell the cops all the time, listen, we don't make our money on the back of our citizens. We go out and we produce income. If you don't have to write a ticket, don't write a ticket.
Right.
Warn somebody. Now, that's completely different than maybe highway patrol. They don't believe in mercy and forgiveness maybe in their church, but in our church, these people have enough stress in life. If they need a ticket, give it to them. But if you can warn them, they'll learn from a warning.
Yes, and be so relieved.
Yeah, and you're so much happier with your police department when they're not writing tickets, quotas and stuff.
Right. So give us an idea, if you can even begin to start talking about a time frame on this miracle that Apex has become.
Well,
which I was wrong.
In the next 18 months, that water line will be finished to the crest of that hill.
Wow.
And from there, it'll become a special improvement district. All the businesses will jump in and take it from that point. And we have taken money out of the utilities fund because we had to front load this thing to get it up there. But some mayor, maybe 2 or 3 mayors from now, is going to go, this is the greatest gig in America. But getting it to that point was impressive. But I will go back down the freeway just a little bit where I-15 and the 215 intersect. We're building that road over now, Rikki. We just brought sewer.
Yeah, I just saw that.
We got 1,100 acres in that area. 80% of that property is in some form of development right now.
Yeah.
Big world-class companies. And we don't need to brag about anything. We just need to do our job.
Right.
In North Las Vegas, bragging isn't something you ever grow up with. Now, if somebody in front of you in line at the bank is bragging about themselves, you go, oh, this guy's a braggart. But if he's bragging about his wife and kids, you got to let him do it.
Yes,
you know what I mean? That's
exactly.
just social, right?
Yeah.
In North Las Vegas, we're just not braggers. We've never had things to brag about, so we just go to work every day. And then along the way, if you think we did something great, you'll tell somebody about it. But,
right.
but I don't like cutting ribbons at buildings because usually I cut a ribbon at a building at a grand opening 8 months after I already did the work. It just took them that long period of time to get the ribbon opening. I've been working on so many new projects. I guess if you're going to brag, it's because you ain't doing nothing else. You get that one thing you can brag about.
Right.
We got so much going that we're proud of our new businesses, but we're not stopping just to cut a ribbon and pat ourselves on the back.
Yes. Apex is going to be your game changer. Another game changer is, man, you and Amazon. This is like, I think I tell you guys all the time, one of the things I like to do, I love to have my dogs in the car with me. And so what we do is we go exploring. And I always try to go to a different part of the valley that I don't normally go to or haven't been in a while to see what new improvements and new changes. Because every part of the valley is moving so quickly. But I think in North Las Vegas, it seems like I can go maybe like 6 weeks and not go out and then come and go back and see, what is that? When did they start that project? But the your Amazon Fulfillment Center, man, that's awesome.
That's our 4th position with Amazon that we have in our community. And when I first got elected, logistics and light manufacturing were the sectors that we wanted to work on, okay? So I guess
back to diversification.
Yeah, I guess the greatest thing, Rikki, and you know this as well as I do, it's hard to get a new customer in any business. But if you got one, keep them. Retention is incredible because then they will refer you to other people or they will hire you again and again and again, Right. That's how you send your kids to college, is you have a good business with cash flow. Amazon's been so impressed with us. We've been so impressed with how they've turned their projects around. They look all over this valley and then come back to us and say, listen, we just want to do business with you guys. And there's some beautiful sites in this town, but they just like the quality of leadership, and they like working with our people at the City Hall, and they find a lot of satisfaction because people in North Las Vegas are hard workers. So they got a whole workforce right there that they can get. So we're everything Amazon wants, and they've been a very good partner for us, and we're proud of them,
What was I reading today that North Las Vegas has become the e-commerce capital of the West.
Yeah.
How is that?
Well, what happens is, like say in California, you might pay $6 a foot for land in North Las Vegas. Well, you're paying 35 or 40 in California, and then you got all those taxes and everything. these big ships are coming in, Rikki, and they're dumping off their product, those big Sealand containers, and they're shipping out to North Las Vegas. And from here, it's going to Reno, it's going to Phoenix, it's going to Salt Lake, it's going to Denver, but most of it's going back to California, the 5th largest economy in the world.
Wow.
So they get it here, they unload it, they have big warehouses, but over there they pay inventory tax. Here we don't have that kind of tax. So it's quicker for them to bring it here, unload it, and take it back to California.
Drive it back?
Yeah,
Amazing.
in 3 hours, 4 hours. So they are
I would
running.
never have thought. That's
they are
amazing.
running companies out of California, and they are coming to do business with us in North Las Vegas.
Wow. At a local level, too, when I am in City Hall, I find that small business owners, because we can talk about Amazon on the grand scale and what's going to be happening at Apex, but the difference in the conversations that because I'm an eavesdropper and I stare at people, and the conversations from small business owners who are coming in and out of City Hall is one of satisfaction. People feel like you guys are helping them. It's not like you're putting a whole bunch of fees on them or trying to make life difficult for someone trying to get a business started in North Las Vegas.
I agree.
It's like, how can we help you? As opposed to, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I've got a friend who just opened a dog grooming place up off Lake Mead in Buffalo, and the hoops he had to jump through were just unreal. I thought, how can we talk about building an economy or diversification, as you're talking about, if we are nickel and diming the small business owners?
We have streamlined that process, made it so much easier for businesses. Actually, when there's a new business, about every quarter I get a whole bunch of new business here, and I write a letter, thanks for coming to North Las Vegas to do business.
Really? Wow.
I'm your partner, I'm your business partner. Number two is, when you've been there 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30 years, you get a letter from the mayor too. We don't forget you when you've been here 30 years from now. You're still our partner, know, and I want them to know that the mayor values that relationship. Call me if there's any problems here,
Yeah.
So we are probably more small businesses start in North Las Vegas than anywhere else. And you know what? That's where the future is, these small businesses. They grow to be big businesses someday.
When I drive around, especially around City Hall, I'm really taken by, you can tell these are mom and pop businesses. If you just look at the signs, these are mom and pop businesses, and they're thriving mom and pop businesses. I see some of the franchises going out of business, but the mom and pop seem to be doing very well. And when I first started noticing that, I thought, how is that possible? We keep saying that the small business owners are being run out of business, but it didn't seem to be the fact in North Las Vegas. And that's when I started, stalking City Hall, trying to figure out how is North Las Vegas able to work this magic? And that's not what I'm hearing in other parts of the county.
No, and I'll give you an example. Right across the street from us today, we had the grand opening for a place called Brooks Brothers Coffee. It's out of Seattle or somewhere like that. I'm telling you, there are 30 people in line, and when they finally got to that window, they didn't care if they ordered. They were so happy to be able to have that coffee place right there, Right. People are going to see Maya Cinemas. It's going to come in right there. A huge multi-theater.
Because you guys don't really have a major theater.
No. This will be it. And all the way coming down Lake Mead, we've got a lot of big things going. Though the success of the community has been out, we'll call it the hinterlands, anything way out there, our core is still downtown. We are investing in our core. We are. My theory is, if you don't do that, your company will rot from the inside out, right? But the other thing is, our schools. We've been doing great things with the schools. We probably have more private schools, more charter schools, more parochial schools than anybody else in this valley. Our parents want to have choice for their children. They care about their education in North Las Vegas of their children. And we've done great things in there. And I don't believe great cities make great schools. New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, they don't have great schools. But I do believe great schools can turn your community into a great community.
I agree.
And our goal is to take education and make that the center point of what we do, where people go all over and say, no, I'm going to go to that school way over there. I'll drive my kids all the way over there.
Well, we saw that with the magnet schools, and I keep saying this and then I forget about it until the conversation comes up again. Whoever came up with the concept of the magnet school should be canonized. I mean, it's just amazing, because all of my schools that I went to, all the cheese kids went to, all are in the hood. They're in what are now considered disadvantaged neighborhoods. And when I first started reporting, I would see these parents literally fighting getting into arguments because to get their kids into these really great schools that they would never have gone to. That was the other skepticism I had about the breakup of the Clark County school system, because the magnet schools kept those schools in the disadvantaged neighborhoods, kept them vibrant and alive, because parents were willing to drive from Summerlin or drive from Anthem to get into the aerospace program or to get into whatever technical program their kids wanted to attend. But I thought, if we start breaking the school district up, are we going to now see, you know, those pockets of some areas that have better schools than others because they have more money? We're going to see the Bishop Gorman way out there, and you got Green Valley out here. And is it going to be that type of thing where if you've got money, you can get a better school?
I think money will always offer an attractive opportunity for people who can afford to do that for their children. But for the taxes that we pay already, this is the best outlet we have, you know, to be able to choose maybe the career field quickly so our students could get out. I'll tell you, CSN does a great job in North Las Vegas too. I'm very proud of CSN.
That's a great campus.
And they have a CSN high school there. There's just a lot of opportunities now that parents want, and they deserve those. And we're going to offer them in North Las Vegas. I'm a big proponent of Clark County School District. I grew up here, went to Rancho High School, did great. But parents are telling me they want to make sure that their children have the next opportunity in this world.
Right.
So we're going to give it to them.
Choices, and to have what you have in your family is to have generations of kids growing up. Because I would say I'm a Vegas girl, but I'm actually a North Las Vegas girl because I grew up at Nellis, and then we moved across the valley to the county. But I don't know, I have the same memories that you have of North Las Vegas, of it being really friendly. I used to ride my bike from Nellis Air Force Base to the Cheyenne campus.
Well, that's a good ride.
That's a pretty good ride. Yeah. Sometimes my best girlfriend's mom would have pity on me and drive me back home. But you know, that was safe. Everything was. It was just an entirely different world then. But I think that North Las Vegas still holds on to that. My question is, what do you consider the parameters of downtown North Las Vegas? Where is downtown North Las Vegas?
Around City Hall, in the older part, below Cheyenne Avenue down to Owens. You know, that section there. We've got a lot of work to do down there. We haven't had the money since I've been mayor. Now we're finally starting to get the money. You know, but you know, I'm going to flip this out. This will be an odd thought to you. I believe, and I know, we're the most patriotic city in America, with Nellis Air Force Base, with Creech Air Force, with the VA hospital. 40,000 people have something to do with being a dependent, a spouse, enlisted, veteran. You know, there's a lot of that in North Las Vegas. So imagine you have a lot of those people around you. That's already starting to be a good little place to live, you know. And the other thing is, I know for a fact that more people, believe it or not when I say this, they pray in North Las Vegas. They tell me they're praying for me all the time. They pray for this. And you go, how would you know that? Because most of the people in North Las Vegas are just on the up. They're coming up, you know. They're graduating to the next lifestyle. So sometimes people pray, I hope my husband's truck starts in the morning so he can get to work. You know, another family might pray that their children do well in school and learn English today better. You know, they pray for that. Other people pray on Friday. I hope that little construction company my family works for, that check is good and doesn't bounce on Friday. Other people pray, I hope my husband's okay or my wife's okay in Iraq today. You know, there is a special feeling of people that have that one thing in common. And when I look at people, I look at them, I go, I wonder what church they go to. I mean, it's naturally, you don't think about that anywhere else but in North Las Vegas.
I know. And sometimes I feel kind of geeky because I'm such an American flag and, you know, praying all the time, that type of thing. But I think that is, as you said, maybe an offshoot of growing up in North Las Vegas. Because I grew up at Nellis Air Force Base. We lived in base housing. So that's my core. That's what I know. And I remember it was like a big shock when I moved into the civilian world. It was, and the civilian world, it's like from Nellis, you know, to where Angel Park is now. It's like, ooh, that was like, whoa, whole big culture shock. I was so used to that, not just a military upbringing, but a respect for America. And I think what you're talking about is immigration politics aside, it represents that time in America where and still exists to a certain degree, where people are moving to a city, people are moving to North Las Vegas to better themselves. They might not have all the money in the world. It's not like they're moving, building multi-million-dollar mansions, but they're building a solid lifestyle, and building on it for the next generation and the next generation, and thinking about, this is my city, this is where I want to be. I don't get a sense of there's any mass exodus. In fact, when I was covering the housing debacle, I found people who were crying, who were crushed that they had to leave their homes in North Las Vegas for any reason. They didn't want to move anywhere else. They were happy where they were.
Well, first off, they have a great city council that understands them, and number two is there is a mass exodus about, I will predict it to you today, that by the time we end up putting the last 5 miles of the 215 in, which is happening now,
right,
by the time we put that 215, I-15 North Beltway Park in, and Apex, people who work at the VA hospital and live in Green Valley are not going to make that trip anymore. It's just too far. So there will be a mass exodus of intelligent people in this valley moving to some of the brand new home developments that we have in North Las Vegas. Now, you won't feel it in Henderson because somebody else will fill the void. It's not like all the people moving.
Sure.
But we are gathering intelligence in North Las Vegas because of the jobs we are bringing. You show me an intelligent mother and father, and I can usually tell you that their kids are probably intelligent. It's genes.
Right.
I mean, your dad's a doctor, your mother's a nurse. You're probably pretty smart.
Yeah.
And so we are bringing intelligence back in North Las Vegas because of all these high-level jobs that we're bringing into North Las Vegas. So we will probably rule in a lot of areas in education in North Las Vegas because it was like when the test site was here. We had brilliant people living in North Las Vegas, taking those buses back and forth to work.
Yes, right.
So we're doing the same thing again.
I remember the first time I met Tim Bedwell when he was working for North Las Vegas as PIO, and when he told me where he lived in Henderson, I said, "You make that drive from Henderson to North Las Vegas?" He goes, "Yes, and he said it with a smile on his face, just like he goes, "Every day." And that was when, because I think the 215 has gone through a couple of major projects over the years, but that was one of my little exploring trips. I thought, now I know where Tim lives. I want to see what this commute is like and how he's able to smile and take that, because he's got to get on the 215 and he's got to get on the 15. There's not really any other choice. It's not like you have surface streets to get out to North Las Vegas from where he lives. I thought, you know what? He must be having a really good time living in North Las Vegas, working in North Las Vegas, if he's making that commute from Henderson.
Sometimes police officers don't like, we have a lot of Metro cops that live in North Las Vegas. They don't want to live in their own neighborhoods where they police,
Sure.
So we have a great amount of families in North Las Vegas or Metropolitan Police Department, and a lot of North Las Vegas people too. But no, Tim's right. Tim had a great life, but I promise you right now, Tim wouldn't want to be going down that 15 going to work every day anymore.
I know.
And
I know.
that traffic is just horrible, and it lets off at Lake Mead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, poof, you're in North Las Vegas, and you're on your way again.
Yeah, exactly. Other big project happening coming up. You got the downtown. You got the water to Apex. We've talked about Amazon. What I see every time I go exploring is these are the big projects, but you've got so many sort of mid projects. How many warehouses do you have under construction right now in that area in North Las Vegas? Every other weekend when I'm driving around, I see something new going up.
There are a lot of them are manufacturing, and a lot of them are warehousing. My goal, Rikki, I always try to set goals, but seemingly impossible goals. Things I bet I could do that, and I don't wanted to believe I could be the king of bingo. That's a stupid goal, right? But if I go, I think I could do that, and I don't share those goals with people, but I start internalizing them. My goal as mayor is to put 100 million square feet of concrete on the ground while I'm the mayor, which will produce so many jobs, so many opportunities. I told you my goal is to diversify our income. My second goal, Rikki, is to increase the property values in North Las Vegas. I want everybody who lives there to have $100,000 in equity in their home, so that when they retire, the number 2 form of savings in American retirement is equity in your home. So they might want to go back to Florida where they're from, or wherever the military dropped them off here. They had a job. They're going to go somewhere else, Ohio again. I want them to take back $150,000 in equity in their home and start their life there again. It was great to live in North Las Vegas. We took our money, we moved over here, because a lot of people are coming this way too, back to Las Vegas, know, and see that people have that security of retirement. It's a very scary thing right now. retirement is for a lot of people.
One of the things that you talked about the last time we visited, and I've actually been spreading the word about this, is the amazing cooperation that I didn't know until you told me, that you guys, you mayors, you guys get together, you're like buddies, and you keep each other informed about what's going on in your municipalities, but also there's so much cooperation. You said you don't want a business trying to strike a deal with the city and then you lose or they lose. It's like, no, everybody can strike their own deals wherever they are, and we're not going to poach each other.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It doesn't benefit us to fight.
Right.
Mayors have charters. Mayors, we border, every city. So I don't got Henderson, of course. You know what I mean? But our police officers come over and assist each other. Our firefighters, we're really one big community. What makes us different from the county is they don't have a charter. They're a creature of the legislature, and they have all the airport and a lot of big things that we don't have. We all share in that in taxes, So mayors generally really like each other. We understand each other. We have animal control issues. We have, the legislature's an issue, and stuff like that. And I don't know how you can have a better friend in this world than Carolyn Goodman and Deborah March, and Al out of Mesquite, and so we Rod in Boulder City, but little Boulder City is one of our greatest friends.
You're all visionaries. I mean, anybody who was here during what was our worst ever. I mean, we'd always had like little hits, little recessions here or there, but that thing was devastating. And even through that, I never sensed, because I was like budget girl for 13. It's like city, county, North Las Vegas. I was like the money girl. I was just sitting in those meetings. I would just be tweeting out, whatever things got passed. And I was very deeply aware of how much, you guys were the worst, but everybody was suffering to some degree. And even at that, there was not a bit of infighting. That's when Oscar was still in office, and he made that big thing about, well, I'm going to fire everybody and hire him back, and everybody was all scared. But there was this, you guys didn't let the perception spread in the community that you were lying to them. Everybody said, look, I couldn't see it anymore. If I'm sitting in the chambers and I've got all the numbers, I knew that nobody was sitting on the numbers, because these numbers were scary. You didn't want to keep them secret. All the mayors were saying, these are our numbers, this is where we are, you just have to be patient, you just got to work with us. But even at that, there was no infighting amongst you guys.
No, the recession isn't over. We are still trying to pull out of that thing. A lot of the stuff we built, Rikki, the assessor hasn't even assessed to the new type of value it is. So it looks like raw land still for a period of time. The mayors recognize that we're only here for a short period of time, and if we can all work together, it's going to be great. So there's no competition among us mayors.
So, now, is it my just misperception, but you guys don't have like a bookstore, and do you ever really want to have a bookstore, because now so much stuff is done online?
Well, that's true. In fact, whether you know it or not, banks are right now across the country starting to close because people aren't going to banks anymore. So we have these little bank buildings everywhere. Who knows what banking will look like in 5 years? This is a complete different world. There's a Barnes & Noble and up Rainbow and somewhere and here and there, but they're not investing in bookstores anymore. It would be something of value that if we did have one in North Las Vegas, we'd appreciate it. But our goal, Rikki, is we're on a hunt for great restaurants now. I've got Texas Roadhouse Grill coming in. We might have a Cheesecake Factory, Olive Garden. We've got half a dozen little restaurants that are going, but there's some national chains that are coming in. Cracker Barrel came in, Our goal, people in North Las Vegas like to eat out. I think nobody likes to cook anymore, especially in the summertime.
Exactly.
So we're trying to make sure we can give a lot more of those options to people to enjoy their weekends, and go out, go to Craig Ranch, go get something to eat, kind of thing. Quality of life. That's what we're about.
Craig Ranch, if you have no excuse for anything if you haven't been out to Craig Ranch Regional Park. It is stunning. And whether you're a dog person, they've got some of the best dog runs. And as you know, I'm a connoisseur, so trust me. I've been to every single dog park pretty much in this whole valley. Great dog runs. The way it's set up, beautiful grounds. And what I love about it, one of the things I have found kind of disheartening as I make my park runs with my puppies, is the number of parks, beautiful parks we have in Southern Nevada that are empty for large parts of the day. That's not the case at Craig Road. You've got that great skate park, and then you've got all these areas, and you've got all the trees that you inherited that were already there because it was the golf course. But it's just stunning. It's just such a resource, and it's right there off the freeway. So it's not like, if you live in another part of the valley, why go out? You don't have to go to Sunset Park. If you're looking for big trees and just beautiful grass and great landscaping, it's right there in North Las Vegas.
It is, yeah. And I will tell you, it's almost the park getting tired as much activity it's getting. I'm going to have to come up with some money and really pump into the park. There's that many people who appreciate. I prescribe to a saying that says, nothing does more for the inside of a man than being on the outside of a mountain. Some other people can't climb a mountain or ride a mountain bike, but they can go to the park, be around trees and birds, and we have ducks out there, and water and everything. There's something holistically wonderful about a park, and we want to make sure that the 30 parks we have in North Las Vegas offer that benefit.
And you have so many special events that are happening, not just in that park, but in all of your smaller parks as well. I mean, you guys do a great job, because I get the alerts of all of these special events. You involve the community in your parks, so the chances really of finding empty parks in North Las Vegas, I'm sorry, they got to be really small parks.
So I'm gonna make an announcement here.
Please.
Rikki, you'll love this. You will not believe this. Okay, I went the other day. Councilman Isaac Barone put on a parade, and it didn't cost the city any money. It was a Cinco de Mayo parade, and he said, "Hey, Mayor, do you want to come to this parade? We're just putting this parade together." Hispanic people love to get out. They love to be socializing with each other. On the weekend, I think there's probably more people at that. What's that place called? The swap meet of Hispanic descent, than anywhere else.
Gosh, yes.
So there's like large family unions. They're so happy to see each other.
Love Broadacres.
And so I went to this parade. We had a great parade. I promise you, Rikki, the Irish have a little parade down Fremont Street or Henderson, and Martin Luther King has a great on forth. We are going to own Cinco de Mayo. North Las Vegas is going to own the parade, the event. We are so proud of our Hispanic community and the culture it brings to our community. We're excited. Mark my words, Rikki, you will see North Las Vegas,
first here.
Southwest United States, we will be #1.
Well, you're #1 in e-commerce. You're #1 on so many different levels, and this is how geeky I am about North Las Vegas. I'm looking through the listing on Netflix, and I see this heading. It said Apex. So, of course, I automatically assumed it was our Apex. And so I got on. It's like it had nothing to do with North Las Vegas. But I saw Apex, and I thought, North Las Vegas has a movie. Netflix made a movie about North Las Vegas. And I'm looking at it, when are you going to get to this has nothing to do with us. Well, that's false advertising. How dare they?
We thought about changing that name. It is what it is,
yes.
you know.
And actually, I think it's great. I mean, Apex is, I don't know, it's just got some sort of, it's kind of industrial, but it's still sort of like moving forward. It's like social media. It's not dated. It's millennial. It's Apex. It's one of those just logos and
it's
names.
At the top of the mountain, the apex of the hill, or something.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah. So, what's another good thing that you, as we wrap up here?
Well, I did want to say something. You
North
mentioned
Las Vegas?
Amazon. I thought I might tell you that building is 800,000 square feet first floor. It's got a second floor, 800,000 square feet, and a third floor, 800,000 square feet. The top two are robotics, okay? So we're bringing in robotic jobs in North Las Vegas now. But that building, there's not been a building built that big since a casino was built. This is the kind of activity that this valley is getting. We don't want to be Henderson. We don't want to be Las Vegas. We don't want to be Clark County. You know, fact is, people come to Clark County and they see the Strip. They go to Las Vegas. They see Fremont Street. North Las Vegas, those are boutiques.
Right.
We're going to be the breadbasket.
Right.
But we're going to bring world-class businesses here to diversify our economy, to strengthen the structure of the tax base in the state of Nevada. We are a great partner to this valley now.
You are not going, and you talked about this often, you're not going after gaming. You're not trying to compete on that level. You're trying to be almost like, not the anti-gaming, but when you talk about offering the opportunities of actually diversifying, because I have heard that term since I first started reporting. We've got to diversify. We've got to diversify. And all I ever saw growing up was the same old thing, and people depending on the gaming industry to pay for everything. And you'll hear that people say, well, the gaming industry has all of this money and they should just pay for this.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the problem we saw when the downturn hit. It was like, oh my gosh, now you have all your eggs in one basket, and look what happens when the basket falls.
I know we're getting out of time here, but our bond rating fell 18 levels, Rikki.
I remember.
Through the worst of the recession. We are now investment grade. We are strong. We are viable. We are reducing bonds. We're taking that money we were spending, putting that into our community. We are an economic engine in North Las Vegas now, and proud to offer the options that we hadn't had, like you said, when we were younger. So hide and watch out there in Rikki Cheese Land. We're going to do this.
And when you see me riding around, know I'm doing my North Las Vegas research, because I am fascinated and proud and just excited for all of the good things that are happening. And I just love opening the paper and seeing, ooh, look at the latest new good thing that happened in North Las Vegas. So thank you for being on my show and catching us up to date.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back in 4 to 6 months and give you a whole new outlook, too.
We will have it, and it'll be one of those, hopefully I won't say, because I don't say it's not going to happen anymore. If this man says it's going to happen, it's just a matter of time. So I'm just sitting back now going, so what's the latest, Mayor Lee? It's so much easier than trying to second guess you. Thank you for being my guest.
It's always my pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us and spending time with the mayor of North Las Vegas, a visionary and just a really great guy with a tribe. He doesn't really have, like, you know, a wife and kids and the grandkids. He has a whole tribe. How many sports teams could you probably see?
No, don't go there, Rick.
Well, thank you for being my guest. I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next week right here on Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.